During this season, these Spec Racer 4 drivers have had to face some of the trickier circuits on the iRacing service. While Watkins Glen may not necessarily be the trickiest circuit to hot lap on, when you throw the likes of the drivers in the Weekend Warrior series onto this track at the same time, there will still be no time to relax. Hello everyone and welcome to the Glen for round 10 of the Weekend Warrior series live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Bill Soup-Zahn. Behind the scenes we have our director Sean Crackers Ambrose and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, we're entering the closing stages of this season's championship, and so now the drivers are really going to have to turn up a wick when it comes to racing each other and not just worry necessarily about racing the track. And what a track to do this at.
Yeah, whenever a series comes to Watkins Glen, the first question is, which Watkins Glen? Today, we are on the Cup version. That's 2.4 miles with 8 corners, which does have the inner loop, which takes the hell out of carousel. Also, it doesn't give us the boot, which also means that dreaded left-hander coming out of the top of the boot section is gone. So what does that mean for today's race? Well, like a princess walking to the altar on her wedding day, expect a long train. Somebody close a window because this race is going to be drafty, which is bad news for the fast guys in the point race, because they're going to be surrounded by those who have less to lose. But the best way to get an idea of what this place is really like is jump on board and take a lap around.
Alright, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Watkins Glen. The 90 is make or break in a few ways. It's a great place to pass, but you'd probably do better to set yourself up for the exit of it. Try not to outbrake yourself or swing too wide into the paved runoff for that matter, because that can also cost you time. As we climb up the S's, it's easily flat out. You're basically straightening them out as much as possible and focusing on getting a nice clean shift. Here's where you'll start to see the importance of that exit speed in the 90. The lack of power in the Spec Racer means the slipstream plays a big part of this track, so drivers who aren't fast up the hill will get gobbled up lap after lap. In fact, positioning your car in these draft battles will likely decide how you finish. Because you're not going incredibly fast, there isn't a whole lot of braking for the inner loop. You'll be balancing the car and getting aggressive on the curbs through this tricky chicane. And then, when you swing it into the carousel, there's really no use for the brakes at all. Just lift and carry your speed. The fastest drivers will be getting back on the throttle at the earliest moment possible. This is another long straightaway heading down to the penultimate turn, and your competitors might get another slingshot with the slipstream. Anyone who hesitates and finds themselves taking a little lift of their understeering is going to be very vulnerable. But at the same time, the entry into this left-hander is going to be very fast, so going in there too wide is both dangerous and costly in terms of lap time. Quickly, you'll swing back across the track and chuck it into the final corner. But there's no runoff to the outside of this bend, and hitting the tire barrier can be a race killer since any amount of damage will hurt your straight line speed. But from there, hopefully you've now finished a lap around Watkins Glen.
So as you can see, when you just put one car on this track, it's not too difficult. However, we have 29 cars who are about to race here, and as Bill was saying just a moment ago, boy, the draft is going to be strong. There's going to be plenty of close and perhaps even some aggressive racing out there, Bill. And let's take a look at those drivers that we expect to be at the front of it all.
Yeah, now remember, GSRC only covers alternate races here, so we did not cover Laguna Seca. And Errol Num continues his charge to the top. He picked up his 3rd win of the season. He out-dueled Jerry McAreevy, who brings home the silver, and Andres Bertoni came home in 3rd. Now, as of this point right now, the points have not been updated, but fear not, because GSRC, for us, nothing is more important than you, the viewer. So our stat boys, Simon and Poindexter, whipped together these results that take into account the Laguna Seca race plus the 4 drop races. And what do you see? Well, we wanted to give you the flavor of the points race, and I'll tell you right now, get your taste buds ready for some black sausage and oven roasted potatoes, stewed sauerkraut, and lingonberry jam. That is the national dish of Estonia. And lo and behold, after missing the first 4 races, the rolling Estonian, Errol Num, is indeed the points leader. Now remember, these results take into account the 4 drop races allowed for in the rules. But Num has got to be careful because he has no drop insurance, unlike the Ghost, David Gasper, who has 18 points in his pockets. Now look at the rest of these guys. You see Makarivi and Demetrius Houladoulis. He's not here today, but he was running well early on. And then Daniel Sandro. Okay, so that's your point, Sam.
And, well, normally I say, Bill, and I said this just a moment ago, we'll take a look at that because, you know, those are the drivers who are going to be up there racing for the win today that we're going to want to keep an eye on. But how much do you think this race is going to become a bit of a crapshoot, honestly, considering the fact that in qualifying right now, we are seeing the top 9 cars within a second?
Yeah, and remember that the qualifying, it's open qualifying, so you don't really know what's going on, and that's how it's going to be in the race. You're not going to know what's going on as well. The train is going to be huge, and we talked about it. That's exactly what guys like Errol Num and David Gaspers do not want to see. This is, I don't mean to downplay this configuration, but honestly, compared to what it could be, this is not the most technical and challenging of configurations here. So the train will be long, and I don't expect it to shrink unless there's a problem somewhere in the middle of the train where it gets cut in half. Otherwise, it's all going to come down to really saving fuel and then pit stops.
Yep, talking about pit stops, let's have a look at how strategy works in this series with our series details. Here you see we are at round number 10 of 12. Those 4 teardrops show us that at the end of the season, each driver's 4 worst points results will be dropped at the end of the year. And Bill was explaining that when we were just looking at the championship standings a moment ago. The car is a Spec Racer Ford, a car that's known to be a little unstable if you hit a curb at an angle that's unhappy with, and that does happen here, especially at that inner loop. Setups is an open setup with a 30% fuel load that will last you about half an hour. What's significant about that? Well, look at the row right underneath it. The race is 40 minutes long. That means all these drivers will have to make 1 stop for fuel during the race. I don't think you really want to take tyres. It's cool conditions here today. Not much tyre wear on this circuit. And also it takes a little while. There's no incident cap, so you can abuse the runoff areas if you want to. However, try and keep it out of the walls, because even though you get 1 free repair, you will lose a lot of time.
Yeah, and the inner loop's going to be probably one of your best passing zones. You come up out of the S's, you drive down in there, pick up a draft, you can take a dive to the, well, either to the right or to the left. What makes the pass of the inner loop interesting is sometimes you don't finish it, and where you might have the preferred position going out, you may not have the preferred position going in. So it does take a little bit of the starch out of the carousel. Now, because we don't have the boot, the carousel is really truly 180 degrees here. You don't get to veer off to the left and head towards the boot section. It's a tight turn. So should be fun. Should be fun. If I was a leader in a points race, this is not where I'd want to go, but these guys know how to do it. And honestly, the competition is pretty darn respectful here, so I don't expect anything bad to happen.
Just 5 minutes left of qualifying. You see a lot of drivers together in this open qualifying session. Some of that is done intentionally. Drivers are trying to get the slipstream of the cars in front of them down these long straights and improve their qualifying time. Right now, the pole sitting qualifying time is a 1:25.145, being turned by Zachary Rivard, which is the exact same time he turned during practice. So Rivard right now proving to be fast and consistent, Bill.
Yeah, a name that we're not that familiar with throughout the season. He's a newcomer here. He's not racing in the championship, but yeah, he does look fast. Errol Num sitting there in second. You know, as we go through, we have to look to see who is here today, and we've been talking about the ghost, David Gaspers, but I don't see David here. So that's the bad news for Gaspers. The good news is he has that little bit of drop race insurance. I think it was about 18 points. So that's good to know. Double check to make sure he's not. Yeah, he's not here.
A couple of big names though who are here who aren't normally here. I noticed straight when I loaded the session, Bill. Bob Kern, a driver I believe does a lot of racing in the official Spec Racer Ford iRacing series. He's out there turning laps in the number 6 car right now. Currently sitting position number 6, but trying to see if he can go fast in the last few moments we have of qualifying here.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a Spec Racer Ford a specialist, but he certainly has an affection for it. He has a little bit of a romance going on with the car. And yeah, he's sitting 6th right now, but he has a lot of experience.
And we mentioned just a moment ago how 9 drivers were within a second of a pole time. Well, boy, things are getting closer and closer. Now we have 13 drivers within a second of Zachary Rivard's pole lap. And most notably, right at the front, Bill, is Iro Nom. You've mentioned, for our viewers who are new to the series, Iro Nom, he missed the first 4 races of the year, so every single result he gets is going to count. He's not going to have any drop weeks at the end of the season. However, Nom has been good so far in that his worst finish that he's had during those races has been 2nd. Right now he's qualified 2nd, and even though I'm emphasizing here, Bill, that I expect this race to be a little unpredictable, I think Nom will do well here considering the fact that the draft is so strong that you can save a lot of fuel around here, and that's a strategy that Nom has been able to use to perfection.
Yeah, he is a veteran of when it comes to saving fuel. There may be nobody who is better at it. And this Spec Racer Ford is so susceptible, so easy. The fuel, it fills so slowly that whatever you can save on the track is less time you need to spend in the pits, which can be significant.
So we mentioned how Iro Nom is here, the driver who he just pipped to the win at Laguna Seca last week. It wasn't here on GSRC, but there was a replay of it from a driver's perspective on the forum. That driver was Jerry McAreevy, who has been a very strong driver throughout the season. He's currently sitting back and 5th on the grid. And let's give a shout out to the driver who got the podium finish in 3rd position last week, Andres Bertoni. I saw he posted on the forum earlier this week that he won't be here for this week's race, but congratulations, Bertoni. And I think we might end up with another new name on the podium at the end of today, Bill.
Yes, we see out there. There's another driver I want to point out that I think is sneaky fast, and that's car number 56. He's currently in the pits. His qualifying is done. I'm talking about Steven Elson. He's at 7th in qualifying right now. Watch out for him. He's got good racecraft. If he's in the draft, he knows how to work his way up. He may not be the fastest on the track, but put him in a draft. He knows how to negotiate. He's a good chess player.
If you have good racecraft, you'll do well in the draft. Is that how it goes, Bill?
That is the saying. I think there's a Snoop Doggy Dogg has a rap song like that.
Ah, good to know he's a motor racing fan. Anyhow, qualifying is just about over here, but they are going to add 2 extra minutes for drivers who are currently out there on the hot lap. The first one to cross the line will be Stevie Ray, currently sitting back in 20th place. That sounds quite far down the field, doesn't it? Well, yes, it is. However, he's only 1.2 seconds off of pole, and he's starting almost near the back.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if Stevie thought he was going to be here today. There was some real-world obligations. Nothing bad. I think it had to do with some type of festivities going on, but Stevie's here anyways, so good to see him with us.
More drivers have been signing in as qualifying's been going on. We have a 30-car field right now, all of which turn laps during qualifying. And that's going to be good news for you, Soup, because I know you always like to give up. All right, not sure if we had a bit of a technical issue there. Bill, I was saying good news for you here that in qualifying, all of the drivers have turned a lap. So if we give a hard charge reward, it's going to be rightfully earned.
That's right. I'm back now. And yes, absolutely. I don't like to give hard charge awards from guys who sandbag that won't put in the time. Our slowest qualifier, Wendell Lowe, down there with a 128.3. But nevertheless, Wendell got it in. Good luck to you. You're going to be starting 30th.
And the last drive on track trying to complete a lap was Kristen Rudolph, and he just spun it into the wall. So let's go ahead and read out your full starting lineup. Starting with our pole sitter, Zachary Rivard. He has less than a tenth of a second over Aaron Nom, who will be lined up alongside him. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Adam Bradshaw there in third place, ahead of Alan Chapman. Jerry McAreevy will be back in fifth position alongside the aforementioned Bob Kern. Jason Perry set a solid qualifying time. He's back in seventh place alongside Stephen Nelson. Marcus Burkett and Daniel Stedrow will round out the top 10, all within about 7/10 of a second of our pole sitter.
Then it's Jose Luis Eviedo de Castilla, Supercalifragilistic Espialidocious Morales. We just like to call him Jomo. He sits in 11th position. Karsten Rudolph behind him. In the Baker's Dozen spot, it's Chris Murakami. We know him. He races here a lot. 14th is Fred Desai. Michael Shaw is going to be behind him. All ribbons and curls in the Sweet 16 spot is Richard Workowski. 17th goes Paul Godin. He's going to be gotten just in front of Ross Nicholson. 19th and 20th is Felipe Chavin and Stevie Ray.
Then page number 3, lined up in 21st place, is Michael Lucas. Behind him will be Corn on the Cob Love, lined up in 22nd. Jeff Cantor will be starting 23rd alongside Ian Wilson. Gary Walbort back in 25th, ahead of a name for me, Joshua Borge Bonkowski back in 26th position. Brad Taylor, Logan Moore on the penultimate row, and David Burnell and Wendell Love will round out the field. I don't know if that's a bad place to be back there though, Soup, with 30 cars getting ready to go into this tricky turn number 1. I'd rather be at the back than in the middle.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back in just a minute as we're having a technical issue.
There you see 29 cars rolling off. Only one driver not gridding up, Bill, but it's a pretty significant one.
I don't see it. Who you got?
Zachary Rivard, our pole
Oh, my
sitter.
goodness. Interesting. They waited and waited and waited. He was not, and he's not in pit lane either. Well, we were having some technical difficulties. I wonder maybe it fell his way as well.
I mean, I understand sometimes I'm saying I think turn 1 will be a bit chaotic, but if you qualify on pole, surely that's the best way to get out of all that.
Well, if he gets out there now, he'll have his work cut out for him.
So this means Adam Bradshaw in the number 5 car will now pull up alongside Aero Nom for the start of a race. Aero Nom in the 78 machine, Adam Bradshaw in the 5 car.
You can see it's a little bit cloudy out there today. Air temperature 76, track temperature 76. Should be plenty of grip. Don't have to worry about the humidity or the fog. Should be at least, as far as temperature-wise, a good day to go racing.
All right, and here comes the field down to turn number 6, the left-hander. And they don't really have runoff area out on the exit there. If you overshoot it, you're off into the grass and the gravel if you go there deep enough, like it was a few years ago. And then, of course, so turn 7, this final turn, boy, you don't want to get this one wrong. There's always walls around here. Aeronom leading the field to green. And here we go. For those about to race, we salute you, because we are racing here at Watkins Glen. Aeronom has got a good start. Adam Bradshaw, a lot of pressure from behind for second, 3 wide already.
I can report that Zachary Rivard did get the car to the pit box, but he still has yet. Now he's starting to roll.
And one car rolling in a different way. It's Dromo rolling out of the first corner.
Look at it. The car just went loose, and he took a turn right into the mint-colored car of Chris Murakami, and then it rolled over. We'll see to get a replay of that one a little bit later when things settle down.
Yeah, a couple of cars have had to take a tow to the pits because of all of that. All it means is Aeronom has been able to break away with the lead. His teammate, Alan Chapman, up in second place. Contact for third. Hard into the wall goes Adam Bradshaw.
My goodness, that was... He closed in on him and just got punted in there. And we're talking about Bradshaw. It was Jerry McAreevy who just kind of, his teammate got into his right rear and turned him into the wall. McAreevy is okay, I think.
So Norm leads, Chapman second, Jason Perry in the Spider-Man car now runs in third place. Stephen Elson behind him. Elson has gained a lot of positions on this opening lap. Not all of the cars that started coming around to complete lap number 1, but Norm leading those that are.
Now the question is, can Perry and Elson, who raced 3rd and 4th, you see him coming at you right there, can they team up? Perry in the Spider-Man car, Elson in that white number 56, if they can work together, get up to the 2 leaders.
You might see Ross Nicholson has gone spinning out of turn 1, as has Mike Lucas. Those were 2 separate incidents, but they both kicked off a wall.
Nicholson's was a self-spin.
And battle on for third place up the hill. They're 3 wide almost. Stephen Elson just took it from Jason Perry. Jerry McAreevy trying to break his way up into the podium positions.
Don't need to go there and report that Wendell Lowe also had a spin. For a simple track, these drivers are having a problem with it.
Yeah, well, it's what we were talking about at the top of the show, Bill, as back further Locomoire has also gone off course. Even though on a hot lap, this track doesn't look too difficult, once you throw 30 cars out here together, you've really got to keep your wits up about you. Some drivers struggling here on the cold circuit on cold tires in the early laps.
We're looking at the train coming at you right there. That's the Spider-Man car. Jason Perry racing in 5th position.
Spider-Cam, catch him whatever Spider-Cam can. Can he catch 3rd and 4th place drivers in front of him? That's Elson and McAreevy as they come around to complete the 2nd lap.
Going to give you that interval from Alan Chapman back to Elson right now. That's between 2nd and 3rd, 2.6 seconds. This is what Errol Num needed to see. Now, the only thing that Num has to worry about, is right on board with Chapman, is traffic. I think Chapman and Num are going to play well together as they kind of go side by side right now.
Yeah, Num has been leading all along, so Chapman actually the one saving fuel right now, Bill.
And if I look at that, both cars seem to be painted in those Bush Fink colors. So I think we have teammates up there from Num and Chapman.
Yeah, definitely riding with identical paint schemes there at the front. Seen a couple of teammates out here together early stages throughout the field, although some of those are broken up as... man, I don't think there's a single driver in the field. I want to confirm this before I say this. Oh, no, there is one driver in the whole field who is in the same position that he started, and that's the driver in 13th, Chris Murakami. Everyone else has either gained or lost spots.
Yeah, and Murakami got a little bit of contact on that first lap, of some substantial contact. He's able to keep the car going. Couple hard chargers. Steve Ray racing in 9th, and in 15th spot, Joshua Bunkowski. These guys are up 9 spots each. 11 spots each.
Bill, I wouldn't say what we have on track. Oh, as Elson goes around from third! I was about to say, I wouldn't say that's calmed down, but it was looking to start calming down.
Oh.
But boy, Elson, running in the podium position, goes in the wall.
Boy, he lost it, he caught it, and then he lost it again. Boy, the car was going straight. It was so sideways. He got it going straight. And then you have to uncrank the wheel before it catches. Watch this. It's round. He's got it. Uncrank it, and then he's on the grass, and he can't keep control of it. Steve Elson. I told you he was fast, but he's not going to get the finish that he wanted.
And it's very interesting to me, Bill, even though we've seen a lot of different incidents in the early stages here, I'd say a decent, maybe even 60% of them have been happening in turn 1.
Yeah, and that's good news. Well, not good news for those guys who had trouble, but certainly good news for the push pink guys out in front. Remember that interval I told you between second and third was about 2.5 seconds? Well, now it's 4.5 seconds. Yeah, Chapman's out in front of Numb, but that really doesn't matter right now. Those guys are just going to swap and conserve fuel between the two of them.
So, let's see if this pack gets through turn 1 cleanly this time, and if they do, let's have a look back at some of our early moments here. Now that things are starting to calm down just a tiny bit. Still a lot of action, but let's take a closer look at some of our early ongoings here at Watkins Glen.
Oh, we're going to look at Jomo had an incident.
Yeah, right off the start, and multi-car pile up in turn 1 on the opening lap. He has gotten back out there. Remember, these drivers do get 1 free repair.
This happened mid-pack, and honestly, it could have been so much worse. There you can see him getting loose and barrel rolling. Now, the Bradshaw incident, this is between teammates. This is where McAreevy gets into the back of him. You'll see the two, they're kind of white and green, kind of candy-colored cars here, as if you were like a mint candy. And there's McAreevy behind. He gets just into the left rear and turns Bradshaw into the wall. McAreevy keeps going. Those are some big names.
So we come back live to where the leaders have completed lap number 5. Let's give you a quick top 10 rundown. There's Aero Nom ahead of Alan Chapman, Jerry McAreevy, Jason Perry, Marcus Burkett. That's your top 5. Then it's Bob Kern, Stevie Ray, Michael Shaw, Fred Desai, and Daniel Sedro rounding out the top 10.
Let's look at that 7th place battle. This is Steve Ray and Michael Shaw. These guys, Ray qualified in 20th position, up 13 spots. Right now getting a little bit of a bump draft from Shaw as they continue to try to run down the guys in front of them. They got about 2.5 seconds to get to Bob Kern.
I really do not think this is a car that the bump draft works well in. In fact, these drivers, I don't think are quite getting the top speed of what drivers in front of them who were running on their own were.
Steve Ray, again, didn't think he was going to be here, and he is here, and he's making the most of it, up those 13 spots. We drop back 2 cars. We're looking at that one. You see it right now. There's Sadro. He's got that battle going on with Fred Desai. That's a battle for 9th.
So 30 cars took the start. 28 are still in the server. Philippe Chauvin and Steve Elson have officially retired. 26 cars still on the lead lap. A couple of drivers who had early incidents. They were able to get back out after using the free repair, but when a lap down, those being Jomo and Richard Gortatowski.
If we drop back a little bit farther, maybe go to 11th, we have Carnivorous Love racing there, having a good run. He's up. He's cut his starting position in half, started in 22nd. But look who he's got behind him. That's Chris Murakami. He got into that early incident. That car is really banged up. That's that candy-striped car racing in 12th. Right behind him, Paul Gooden. This is a good battle. Maybe a pass coming on here? Nope.
Yeah, that would have been a bit of a late attempt to have a feeling. Maybe on the final lap it would go. Meanwhile, our top two leaders have broken up quite significantly. Something happened in the carousel, and Nero Normas dropped far back 2 seconds of Alan Chapman.
Looks like he was right behind him going into the bus stop, into the inner loop. Then he dropped a ton of time. I wonder maybe if he picked up a slowdown penalty. Oh no, the car just got loose. Watch this, the car goes, then he goes across. Might have picked up a slowdown penalty there that he had to serve. So, Sam, you talked about the curbing. These little racers don't like to get up on them.
You know, definitely not that. Now, the nice thing, though, Bill, is with this being an open setup, you can play with the suspension a little bit and find a way for the car to get across the curbs a bit easier in that inner loop without it upsetting the chassis as much. However, you're never going to completely fix it. Boy, third is getting exciting. Bob Kern was in sixth. He's going to run past 3 cars in one go.
1, 2, 3. Wow. That was an impressive bit of horsepower. Once he got under the hood there, he got a run. He got McAreevy, but before he got that, he got Jason Perry. Before he got that, he got Marcus Burkett. We're gonna take a look at this one. This is how you get it done in a hurry. Let's see. There, he gets 1. He gets 2, and 3.
Easy as ABC. And now, he's got a lot of pressure from behind still by McAreevy. I don't think these drivers are necessarily trying to bump draft each other, Bill. I have a feeling they know the cars well enough to know it doesn't work. But they know, as McAreevy takes a look on Bob Kern for third, they know that the closer they drive to the car behind or ahead of them, the stronger that draft is going to be.
And maybe just a super fuel save move as well, perhaps.
Now let's see, Marcus Burkett tries to attack. Well, Jason Perry definitely giving McAreevy a bit of a bump over there, I think.
"25 cars still out there racing."
Yeah, this pack for third place is starting to concern me a little bit, Bill. I know maybe they're thinking they can save fuel and gain time if they run that close to each other, but they're so close that I am starting to get concerned that if one of them slips here, even though they're only going 120 miles an hour, this car just naturally isn't agile enough, for lack of a better term, to react and avoid the car spinning in front of you.
And of those 4 drivers, McAreevy, Perry, Kern, and Burkett, the only one really in the points race is the one out in front right now, Jerry McAreevy, so he might be the most conservative. Look at that Spider-Man car as they come over the hill. He is right behind them.
Stevie Ray going to be the first in the pits for a scheduled pit stop. We've been having so much fun, I haven't realised how deep we've already got into this race.
Stevie Ray doing that great charge through the field. He had worked his way all the way up to about 7th position. He's in there now. A regular stop. The car number 11 is rolling. It looks like he's going to cycle out about in 20th position. If he hustles, let's call it 21st.
Or even 22nd.
Or 20.
Oh, no, 21st. You're right.
David Burnell in 22nd, not able to get there. So there's our benchmark, Stevie Ray. Now keep in mind that he was racing with Michael Shaw, so that's going to be a fun one to watch when Shaw decides to come in.
Finn's 11th on back, quite close. I think that's what we're seeing at the front of this picture right here. Paul Godden ahead of Courtney Love, Zachary Rivard. Remember Rivard qualified on pole, started from the pits, has worked his way up to 13th.
How could we have gone so many races before using Courtney? Nice job, Sam. Very nice. Yeah, Love in there in that mix. Oh, no. Well, there goes Paul Goddard.
Take in the pits. Take into the pits at this rate. Yep. You've lost all that momentum anyway. Might as well just bring it in.
That's an interesting pit entry approach, but do a little pirouette. Watch this on replay. You're going to spin the car? Why not do it right at pit entry?
See just a lot of action going on there together, and this is the same thing that's concerning me about what we've been seeing this for this battle for third. It only takes one small misjudgment or mistake, and things could have got ugly. I mean, they got away with that one, honestly.
Yep. He rolls out of the pits. Godden in 22nd position.
13th on back, quite close as they make their way through the inner loop right now. They're trying to work their way by the lap car of Jomo. Ian Wilson currently running 14th. He's got Jeff Cantor behind him, and actually a second lap car in there of Richard Gortatowski. So not all of these drivers racing each other, but still having share the same racetrack as each other.
Yeah, it's that battle going right back in there for 14th, which is really close with Wilson and Cantor and Gortatowski. Again, Gortatowski not in that mix, as Sam talked about. Also, Jomo is up there as well. Jomo's going to get out of the way. He's going to come in for a pit stop. Leaders staying out. Maybe we can peek in on the leaders real quick, because remember how Chapman had pulled away after the mistake by Numb? Well, that gap hasn't closed up much, but they are getting some lap traffics there as they got around Gary Woolbach.
And the good news for these guys is they still have at least 6 seconds over Jerry McAreevy back in third place. Now, the only danger they run the risk of now is that because these two are broken up, they're not getting the benefit of each other's slipstream. Maybe McAreevy, Perry, Kern and Burkett, if they're able to save a bit of fuel, they won't have to take as much during their pit stop.
Yeah, they are 5 and almost 6 seconds behind Numb. It's going to be a tall order for them to get up there. McAreevy's happy to be leading that group, I think, even though it might cost him a little bit of extra fuel. I just don't think he's comfortable being back there behind some of those guys.
Yeah, see, this is one of those racetracks, Bill, where I'd like to be at the front of a 3 or 4 car pack. And normally when you go to some places, it doesn't matter where you are in the pack, but I just feel that things happen so quickly around here, and you lose so much momentum if you have to slow down for another car unexpectedly. You want to be the one in front so that if something does go wrong, you can pull away from them.
You can see those 4 cars coming at you. There's another battle going right behind them with Sadro. This is even closer. Sadro, Shaw, and Desai. This is a battle for 7th. Sam, one of the dynamics of these cars and the pit stop is, since they are so draft dependent, it kind of takes a little bit out of the steam out of the racing, as everybody knows it's better to save fuel. We've even heard David Gaspers talk about it. Gets a little bit frustrated with Errol Numb because Numb is so smart that Gaspers doesn't get to race. The early part of the race is just kind of fuel safe.
New drive in third place. Bob Kern once again used his magic going up the hill. Meanwhile, we've got a battle going on back here in the middle of the field.
This looks like 14th position or so. This is looking at Nicholson. He's just ahead of Cantor and Wilson. These guys have yet to make their stops. It's not that far back. The next car after that would be Stevie Ray. He's got a cushion of several lap cars behind him, but he's the leader of all the cars who pitted. Nicholson, Cantor, and Wilson raced 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Change for 7th, 8th, and 9th here. Daniel Cedro was a little bit wide on the exit of turn 1, and he's lost 2 positions because of that. So Michael Shaw is by, as does Fred Desai.
Yeah, and that might have been, maybe he missed the apex. Maybe Daniel said, okay, guys, I can't be burning doing all the work here. You guys, it's your turn to lead a little bit. That's
Bill,
the battle of three. Go ahead, Sam.
whenever you've been on iRacing, you ever wanted to give a driver position, but you didn't want him to know that you were giving it to him, so you just intentionally made a mistake? Because I'll be honest, I have.
Yeah, well, usually it's for a lead. I'm such perpetual back marker, but one of the techniques I have as a back marker, we talked about it in the Back Markers United meeting, is to drive the car in deeper than you think you should. Brake late, mix your apex. That way you don't have to worry about getting punted, and you leave the apex open for the guy to go around you. So just a little technique for any of you guys who are always at the back.
Zachary Rivard, who worked his way up to 10th place after starting from the pits. He comes down pit road now for his scheduled stop, right about at the halfway point of a race. So the drivers who want to split it halfway coming in now. Looks like Rivard might be the only one of those though. Joshua Borje Bonkowski as well into the pit.
If you're a fan of real world motor racing and you've ever seen a car that just won't fire when they start to, gentlemen, drivers, start your engines, and that doesn't happen, that's kind of what happened to Rivard there. You just think of it that way. The car wouldn't go. He was able to get started from the pit lane, though didn't lose a lap and has worked his way to the field. When will we see pit stops? We're getting past the halfway mark now.
Oh, Chris Murakami running on his own in 11th place has put it in the wall on the exit of the inner loop. He's going to have to take a tow to the pits in the, what do you call that paint scheme, Bill? It's almost like a peppermint, isn't it?
It is the peppermint candy there. This is exactly what we saw from Errol Num earlier in the race, although Errol had the talent to get the car straightened out. This is what happens when you don't quite have the Roland Estonian skills. Boom! It's been a rough day for Chris. He got contact early on in lap 1. He did a good job of salvaging it. Not going to get a good result today.
And guess what's happened to come in for your pit stop, Love, Bill?
Well, he's made his stop.
Oh, he's making it.
Yeah. Will he get out before Ray comes around? Nope, there goes Stevie Ray right now. So Stevie Ray's going to continue to be the leader of all the cars that made that stop. If you are part of the Sea Love fan club, could you email us at GSRC and look what his first name is? We'd kind of like to know that before the season ends.
Fred Desai running in the top 10. He spun off at the inner loop and he has collected the wall. He's going to try and drive it back, but the car's crabbing way too much. It's not going to happen.
Now, this is interesting because he was right in behind Michael Shaw. Then he had to back out. I think being so close to Shaw, he lost his rhythm. And again, the inner loop bites. What can happen on this? I think when you get off the gas, I think the rear end came around on him. That'll happen on these cars.
Yeah, it's almost like if that was any other car, I would have said that was a software failure. But I think you're right there, Bill. It just kind of went straight because he had no control over it once it started getting away from him. Oh, wow. Jeff Cantor and Ross Nicholson both coming into the pits. Actually, pit road getting quite busy. And Nicholson didn't want to follow Cantor into the pits. He says, well, you're slowing down way too early. So passed him on pit entry.
That's one way to do it. These guys were battling out on the track very close together. I was surprised they all decided to take their stop at the same time.
Maybe that's as long as they could go.
Yeah, maybe it's the guy who was in back will be the fastest here, who saved the most fuel.
apologize for any audio issues as we are currently working the Weekend Warriors. Round number 10 here at Watkins Glen. Pit road is starting to get busy, but our leaders have stayed out so far.
They keep coming into pit road, and Stevie Ray keeps passing them all. He's now up to 9th. What a great run, 20th to 9th, and he's got his pit stop behind him.
The biggest advantage he's really had is he hasn't had a whole lot of traffic out there holding him up.
And honestly, Kern and Perry and McAreevy, Burkett, Shaw, and Sandro, they're all within a couple seconds of each other and about 30 seconds ahead of Stevie Ray. There's a chance Stevie might be able to get them all if he really hustles.
Brad Taylor, who was running up just outside the top 10, he spun coming into the pits. He's coming down now. Probably not worth a look at, but it's cost him a lot of time and unfortunate for the drive of a number 102 car.
Started 27th. He had worked his way up to 15th, but of course he hadn't made his pit stop yet. But he does get the car straightened out and gets it in there, but it's going to cost him a lot of time. There's the big battle. This is the one that's interesting that our director is on right here. They are, let me tell you who you're looking at there. It's McAreevy up in front, Perry, Kern, Burkett. But not that far back now is Daniel Sadro and Michael Shaw. So that's a 6-car train. Credit to Sadro and Shaw, who have really worked their way up to those guys.
Yeah, Aeronom, by the way, is into the pits a bit earlier than Trapman, so wouldn't be surprised if Trapman comes in next lap around. I've got to be honest, Bill. I'm going to be a bit critical of these guys. I wonder if this pack could have been a bit faster if they had been doing some leapfrogging down the back straight instead of just trying to race each other or run in file. And that's what has allowed the likes of Sadro and Shaw to run them down.
And I think Sadro and Shaw running them down is a good indication for Stevie Ray on the other side of the track, because he's racing out there all by himself, putting in hot laps. Num in and out. Num cycles out in 8th with clear track in front of him.
See, right now, these guys are all dependent on the lap times that Jerry McAreevy can run. Because some race cars, if you pull up on the back of them, like a NASCAR Cup car at Talladega, it'll go a bit faster as Alan Trapman comes into the pits from the lead. These cars aren't like that. Having a car on your rear doesn't really make you a heck of a lot faster.
In fact, you just saw what happened there. Jason Perry, the Spider-Man car, got right up in behind McAreevy, going into the inner loop, had to back out, lost all the momentum. Now nobody's going faster. Absolutely. Let's take an eye on Chapman. He is still making his way to his pit stop, to his box.
Yeah, very long pit road here. You also saw Bob Kern breaking off. So, Chapman had a couple of seconds on Nom before the stops. What's it going to be like as he comes out?
Unless something goes horribly wrong, he should be able to get in and out before these guys. I don't think there's much difference in fuel going on. He's still in his box, looking for Nom right now. Well, I think Num's going to get him.
No, Trapman's already halfway up the hill right now.
But Num's coming.
Yeah, Nom as they go up a hill, he'll have a bit of a better run coming out of the first turn as opposed to Chapman, who was on pit exit, but still that 29 car is decently in front.
Sam had it. Sam had it about 2.4 seconds. And honestly, Sam, that's about what it was before the stops, right? So I think all things came out about even there.
Bob Kern, meanwhile, came right out of the pits, right ahead of Stevie Ray.
Yep, and that's what we talked about. Kern made a stop. Now Ray is back. There's a car between them.
Yeah, that got very close with the lap car of Mike Lucas there.
There's a car in front. That is Kern in front. The blue car is Lucas that they're trying to get around. Stevie Ray would like to make quick work of the 26. And the 11 pulls out there now. Now we'll get in the tow. And they'll tuck right in behind Kern. But this is great. Remember, Kern was racing up for 3rd position. We talked about Stevie Ray. Sneaky what he did.
Meanwhile, Jason Perry just led the 5-car train into the pits. They all got it got down to the pit road speed limit without running into each other. But the thing is, pit road exit is going to be very busy with all of these 5 cars trying to rejoin the race at the same time.
And here come the 2 white cars on the outside.
He spins on pit exit. The rest have to avoid him.
They're okay now. As we'll get the replay, here's what happened. Perry out front. Shaw's going to challenge, but then came around. It was Sadro, Kern, and Ray. Now watch pit extras as we look at McAreevy. He's in the points race. This is big. We're looking at it right here. Look for the candy-colored car. There we go, and you can see going over the bumps. The car gets loose. So the action up front, though, for third, Shaw, Perry, Kern, Stevie Ray just got around Daniel Sadro for 6th. Sadro back to 7th. Marcus Burkett off of him. They lost touch altogether. He's in 8th. And way back. Oh, my goodness. Zachary Rivard, remember him? He's in 9th. Where the heck did McAreevy start out in 10th?
Definitely not going to be the race McAreevy's going to want to remember at the end of this. In fact, as I take a look at his stats right now, McAreevy had a 19th place finish at Summit Point, but every other race this season he's been on the podium. You may have heard us mention Michael Shaw there, wondering where did he come from. Well, he hadn't had the McAreevy back in. Yeah,
must have been maybe some damage that he picked up. Maybe the undercarriage. I don't know. I didn't see him hit anything.
Wait, were Shaw and Burkett a part of this pack before, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both back in too.
Shaw's in
I wonder if they're all
penalties.
picking up penalties.
Penalties, yep.
I was thinking Shaw was out of placement. I didn't remember him being that high, but yeah, you're right, he was. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, those those must be pit exit penalties, and they had to come back in. If they got it speeding coming in, they just serve a time penalty. But if you get a penalty going out, you got to come back in. That's almost more costly. So here's how it starts off now. Jason Perry in the Spider-Man car. He's up ahead of these guys we're looking at. This is Sadro and Kern. No, let me correct myself. Ray is up to 4th. Sadro and Kern, this battle for 5th. Stevie Ray, we've been watching him, and he's having a great run.
Yeah, Stevie Ray, he realised he didn't like what was going on with the packs early on doing... connection issues. And he's back. He realised he didn't like what was going on with the pack early on during the race, so made an early stop to get out of it all. It's paid off well for him so far. But remember, all this is going on about, as Ray gets loose, he's going around.
Well, sometimes you curse him with the commentator there. Ray does a good job during the replay. He does a good job of getting the car turned around. He's going to come out in 8th position. 7th, I guess, is where it's going to be. Let's ride on board with Stevie Ray. Once again, the tail coming around. Corner 1, right?
Yeah. This was such a trouble zone early on in the race. I had the feeling that once these drivers got heat in the tyres, it would calm down. But no, it's been going on all race long here and also down at the inner loop. What I was going to say is all this is going on some 15-20 seconds back of Alan Chapman and Nero Nom up front. Meanwhile...
Zachary Rivard just had a spin. As we talk, he's going to lose a spot. Shaw goes around him. Love goes around him. Stevie Ray is going to come right in behind him. Take a look at this one. This guy started on the pole. Well, was supposed to start on the pole. Didn't make the grid. The car wouldn't start. He had to start from the back, worked his way all the way up inside the top 10, and watch this.
He's still in the top 10. He's down to 8th now, but he was up in 6th when that happened.
So with that mistake, he falls into Steve Ray, who just had a mistake. They race for 8th and 9th.
Oh, can't catch a break. Love is into the pits. I guess he couldn't make it to the end. That would be his second stop. See how I try and use exposition with these names?
I saw that. You're better at it. Yours actually have the storyline, the plot line right in the name.
Oh wow, things getting dicey for 7th place as they come up towards the inner loop. Zachary Rivard and Stevie Ray. Ray getting a little bit of help. I'm not sure if Adam Bradshaw was trying to bump draft him there, but whatever happened, Ray gets in front of the 2 car. And around goes his helper, Bradshaw. That's not the first time we've seen him do that today.
And he finishes off by really walleting the wall with a wallop there. That was car number 5. Now, he was a lap down, racing in 22nd position, so.
Only 17 cars on the lead lap, it must be said. Such has been the pace of teammates of Trapman and Nom today.
Looking at Aero Num. Now, Num is coming up just ahead of him. He's coming in on a battle for 17th. This is going to be fun. This is Chris Murakami, who's really had an adventure today. In there with Fred Desai. Murakami out in front. This is not what Aero Num wants to see. There's another car off. That was Logan Moyer.
Yeah, it's not the first time he's been around today either. Yeah, so Trapman has worked his way by this battle for 18th, I believe it is. You just caught, Bill, between Murakami and Desai. Actually, 17th now.
Yeah, there they are, all in one shot. There's our leader. And then you saw the 2 cars that are a lap down. Desai and Murakami going at it, and then about equally back is Aero Num. I don't think Aero has any chance here with 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes of racing to go to get to the leader. I'd be surprised if Aero even messes with these guys.
Side-by-side battle for 9th position going into the inner loop. Paul Gooden just took it from Jeff Cantor. Haven't mentioned Gooden a whole lot today. He had a spin very early on in the race, but he's rebounded nicely.
Yeah, indeed. He's got that 13 car up into 9th ahead of Cantor. The 2 cars behind him are not on the same lap. That's Jomo racing in 22nd, being followed by Adam Bradshaw, who just got his car out of the wall.
Another battle worth keeping an eye on in the closing moments is the battle for 4th place, still on between Bob Kernan in 6th, who holds it down right now, and Daniel Sadro, who has worked his way up 5 positions during the race. He is running in 5th place in the number 51.
Honestly, we could drive our director crazy here. He's going to lose his hair. While there are no real multi-car battles, there are 2-car battles all around the track here. Kernan, Sadro, Ray and Rivard are in one as well.
And to throw an extra curveball in the mix, every so often we see a car come down the pits with seemingly not enough fuel to make it to the end. This lap around, it was David Burnell. He'll be running in 14th. He just came back in.
Hopefully that won't happen to our leader, Alan Chapman. He just goes across the start-finish line right now with 2.5 minutes of racing to go. I think he'll have to go around this end one more time. There it is with Chapman. We're showing 2 to go. Drop back a little bit, director, back to 1 set of cars back. Here's this battle again between Murakami and Desai. And sure enough, here's Aero Num. He's gaining on him. Aero, you either got to go around him or give him a lot more room. Right now, I don't like the position you're in. Not only are these guys racing, but they're being shown the blue flag at the same time. Aero with a 19-second gap back to Jason Perry. I'm honestly surprised he's so close.
Oh, a really bad run by Stevie Ray coming out of turn 1, and that will allow Zachary Rivard to take 7th from him. But I'm keeping an eye on these 2, because if they start battling too hard, well, if they don't battle too hard, they're catching up with Michael Shaw in 6th.
I think both of those cars are faster than Shaw. Shaw's only up there because of mistakes from Rivard and Ray. They have plenty of time to get those spots. Shaw's going to be lucky if he finishes any higher than 8th.
Well, sure, let's not forget cut a bad break himself with a penalty not too long ago.
And we don't need to go there, but I can report that Errol Num did make around those two drivers of Desai and Murakami, who continue to fight for 15th.
Yeah, and you can see we are on the final lap right now. Bob Kern from 5th place. Not enough fuel for the final lap. Comes into the pits and trouble for 6th place. Michael Shaw has gone off.
Well, I think Michael was feeling the pressure. Listening to the broadcast, he heard the commentator say he didn't have the pace to stay up there. Now we go back to our leader.
Yeah, so that will actually move Zachary Rivard all the way up into 5th place, given Bob Kern's pit stop as well. But boy, Alan Chapman, he started in 4th position. He didn't get to move up on that inside line when Rivard started from the pits. So he started 4th place. One of the drivers in front of him, Brad Shaw, he's been involved in a few spins today. So Chapman crisscrossed the lead back and forth with his teammate Eero Nom until finally Eero Nom was the one who had his car slide out under him, dropped back a couple seconds, and he was never able to recover. And Alan Chapman comes out of a final turn in the number 29 machine to take the victory here at Watkins Glen, and backing off is going to be has he out of fuel actually? Eero Nom just took a win.
This could be teammates. This could be Bushfink giving the points to Num. Chapman's not in the championship hunt. He could be giving him the win. Perry and Sadro come across in 3rd and 4th. Let's check in on Kern. He's safely going to be in 5th, but it's Rivard and Ray. This is the battle for 4th.
No, let's not forget Kern had to pit for fuel at the start of his lap, so this is now the battle for 5th between Rivard and Ray. Looks like Rivard will take it.
Yep. So Rivard gets 5th. Ray is going to settle into 6th. Let's go ahead and look at the finish here again and see this. This could be team orders. See if maybe we can go on board. Maybe if we can go on board with Chapman and actually listen to the engine and see if it sputters or if he lifts.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was definitely a lift suit because he was on the power once they got across the finish line again.
Out of the throttle. And that's what teammates do. That's how Bushfink rolls, man. Those guys are serious about what they do.
Throwback to the Ferrari team tactics at the end of the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix, or they granted the championship a little bit closer here than what it was during the 2002 Formula One season. Maybe a bit more excusable. Well, we'll have a chance to hear the drivers' thoughts about it all in just a couple of moments here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back with driver interviews and the full race rundown here on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Watkins Glen, where we just wrapped up round 10 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior Series here up in New York. Your race winner when it was all said and done was Zero Nom, after Alan Chapman backed off coming out of a final turn to allow his teammate who's up there fighting for the championship and take home a victory. We'll get to speak to him about that. Jason Perry finished at 3rd place in the Spider-Man car from 7th on the grid. Daniel Sadro likewise worked his way up to the field. He started 10th and finished 4th. Pole sitter Zachary Rivard elected to start from the pits. He worked his way all the way up to 5th place. A nice race by Rivard. Stevie Ray, likewise a nice race. Tried a bit of a strategy call, and that will result in him having a 6th place finish ahead of Michael Shaw, who rebounded after making an unscheduled stop. Paul Gooden in 8th place ahead of Jeff Cantor and Mark Burkett.
Then in 11th, it was Jerry McReevy, not going to help him in the points race for sure. Bob Kern, he was up near the front, he was back at the back. He finishes in 12th. Ross Nicholson in the Baker Studsman spot. Ian Wilson comes in 14th. We saw that battle between Chris Murakami and Fred Desai. First car 1 lap down. Well, it goes to Murakami. It's 15th, 16th to Desai. Carnivorous Love, 17th spot. Fred Taylor, Gary Wolbach, and Carson Rudolph go 18th, 19th, and 20th. Sam?
Roll over Beethoven and tell Jomo the news. He finished in 21st place ahead of David Burnell. Adam Bradshaw back there in 23rd. And then we get to the drivers multiple laps down, starting with Logan Moore, who had a few spins. He finished his 24th ahead of Richard Gortowski. Mike Lucas all the way back in 26th ahead of Joshua Borje Bonkowski. Wendell Lowe, Steve Nelson and Philippe Chauvin round out our 30-car field. Alright, we got 2 interviews lined up, so real quickly, let's bring in our race winner, Iro Nom. Iro, I'm gonna start a bit with the obvious question here. Was that your guys' plan all along?
No, we didn't even talk. It was all Alan, so I guess I have to thank him. He said that he's not in the championship, so he tried to just do everything possible to help me.
It was really key at the start of a race that you two guys broke away from the pack behind you. I got to imagine you planned that far to try and get up front and work with each other to pull away from the pack. Are you surprised it worked as well as it did?
I think the only reason it worked is because there was some trouble in turn 1 and we had a huge gap. So yeah, the rest was just taking it easy and pulling away until I made a mistake in the bus stop and lost all my confidence there. So that was terrible after that.
Now, Nom, you don't have any drop weeks you can fall back on at the end of a season championship-wise, but so far you've been doing a superb job at finishing 1st or 2nd every single race that you've been in. Do you believe that you can keep that streak up next week and the week after that? We got Mosport and Spa left on the calendar.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe I do some practice again, so that maybe helps. And it's gonna be draft tracks again, so like always, it's just really difficult in front sometimes. But yeah, we have to see.
Arrow, it's Soup here. After what happened in the MX5 World Tour, where it was you against, basically against the world, they were all out to get you. Sure, it's nice to have a teammate helping you out a little bit, huh?
I think it's something like 1 year since I raced with my teammates. So yeah, it's nice.
Congratulations with the win. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Errol Num, our race winner today. And now I get the pleasure of talking to Stevie Ray. My goodness. First of all, Stevie, did I misread what I was reading? I thought you weren't going to be here today. Did I misread that?
No, that was last week. We were
okay. Well, you were here today. Boy, nice charge.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I just had a really bad qualifying session. My internet locked up before that, so I rebooted and just kind of got behind the power curve to begin with.
Were you kind of thinking that I can be faster than these guys saving fuel? Is that what, you know, because you were in a mix there for a while, and then you decided to race by yourself?
No, that was fun, just trying to stay up with the group and see if we could run down the front guys. But I tend to pull off almost as soon as I can and just let the tank completely full so I don't worry about it, and then go back out. And I enjoy trying to run down people in front of me. That gives me a target, and I actually do better that way, I think.
One little mistake, maybe a podium for you, except for that mistake.
Yeah, that was a little frustrating. I don't think I could have caught Jason. He's usually pretty quick, but it would have been a fun race.
Well, it was fun to watch you do what you do. Thanks a lot for showing up, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, guys. You guys are always the best.
We appreciate the compliment. Stevie Ray, finishing, started, let's go ahead and give you the numbers on him. He started in 20th position, brings it home in 6th.
Not one driver finished in the same position in which they started, Bill. I mean, boy, there was a lot going on there today. And if you ever wanted to be hypnotized, take a look at the lap chart following this race. So we got 2 races left in the season. Next one, again, as Bill mentioned at the top of the show, we broadcast each alternate week. So we're not going to see on GSRC next week's race at Mosport. However, of course, that is, you know, you can always check those guys out on their forums and find out what goes down there. And we will give you a recap and get you all up to speed before the finale in 2 weeks' time at Spa. And Bill, whatever road course car you put at the circuit, the Spa-Francorchamps, that circuit always puts on a great show.
And you talked about it, Errol Num. He knows it. He has no room for mistake. And also, keep in mind now that David Gasper isn't here today. He had a little bit of cushion with what we call a pocket point. He's going to burn those points up. He'll be in the hunt as well. We should have a championship battle when we see you in 2 weeks.
All right, well, we hope to see you all back here in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for coming out and joining us today. We would also like to thank Steve Ray, as well as all of the organisers and the competitors from the Weekend Warrior Series, for choosing GSRC and coming out here today and putting on a fantastic show. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts, and you can see them all listed on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Oakholm and June Lalonde, who provide us with our music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Sean and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.